What's the hardest thing for you to comprehend about the American culture? How casual debt is. How easy it is to take loans and credit cards out in other people's names without their knowledge. Removed. Having 2 weeks vacation, or no PTO for most. In my current country you have to take 2 weeks of mandatory leave in a row. Including public holidays I get about 7 weeks vacation a year. Edit, this got way more attention than I expected. Reading through everyone's comments it seems there is a huge gap between those with no to little PTO and those that get a decent amount. All of this is from the goodwill of the companies you work for, and not any federally mandated leave. The biggest challenge for me was sales tax. Unlike in some other countries, sales tax is not included in the listed price of goods and services in the US. Additionally, the sales tax can vary from state to state anywhere from 0% to over 10%. Super rich televangelists like this Kenneth Copeland I learned about on Reddit. Canadian here on spring break in Florida. I can't get over the baseline. I don't know how to say it, baseline education level. There are smart people, but there are also completely uneducated people. Like, the divide is massive. Entering America from Canada is strange. Immediately I see billboards about abortion and religion lol. School mascots. Where I live, we just have teams and just play matches against people. In America, it's all like Go East Town Eagles. Oh agachaka. And there would be some person in a cheapo eagle suit spinning a basketball on his fingers or something. You would have a full dramatic cheerleader dance off before your match, we just shake hands and stare at each other. Entree means main course. Americans love French fries, cheese, and gravy, but Powhatan never took off south of the border. Always found that odd. Zero tolerance rule. Who came up with that shit? The victim is the one who is fucked. Either he gets bullied or he gets a penalty for defending himself. A lot of people follow and worship politicians like their gods, flags and all that shit. In the UK it's universally acknowledged that we hate all politicians pretty much equally. Having to tip almost everywhere. It definitely makes sense at some places, but feel like we have to tip at the most random of places these days. I speak as a Latin American, just setting that down on the table. I don't get why people think that using something from my culture or showing interest of Latin culture is culture appropriation. I've spoken to a lot of people in my culture about this thing and we all think it's all right. P.S. If you think like this I would like to talk about it, and understand where it comes from, not mad I just simply don't understand it. Your healthcare system, so complicated and expensive. And people going bankrupt because they get sick, what bullshittery is this? What's the weirdest fetish your partner has had? Jurassic Park had to be on every time. This is current. She likes me to lay on top of her. With my full weight on her full body. My legs on her legs, my arms on her arms, midsection on hers and my cheek resting against her cheek. It's pretty harmless. I am her human weighted blanket. She wanted me to read sex stories to her while she jerked me off. I still get horny thinking about it. Edit, this seems to gain some interest so I'll elaborate a bit. She chose stories based on what she was in the mood for at the time. This could be about a nurse and a doctor, a threesome, or even some fantasy role-playing. She almost always laid her head on my chest. She loved my low voice but I'm pretty sure she enjoyed making me breathe faster by speeding up. She was mostly fond of stories that included male orgasms and tried to finish me off at the same time I was describing it in the story. My girlfriend likes to be blindfolded, tied up naked, and drugged, weed, then just left on the bed for hours while I just have my way with her. She likes when I just casually do it. Like, I'll get her ready, mess around with her for a bit, then go make myself food, eat, rest, and come back to her when I'm ready. To help answer some questions, there would be quick, occasional breaks for her to drink, use the bathroom, and stretch, but she'd go right back in position as soon as she was done. Her breaks were usually just 5 minutes long. I usually stayed in the room with her full time, just watching TV, playing video games, touching/playing with her to keep the suspense up but also to keep an eye on her just in case we had to untie her for an emergency. My ex was into blood play, kinda hard to stay hard when someone has a knife. My ex thought that teaching is sexy. I happen to be a teacher. She ended up cheating on me with another teacher. I'm sure she's met many more teachers that have satisfied her fetish over the years. She liked it when I was wearing dirty overalls. I was all for it, until I found out her father was a painter, as in he painted houses. To have ice cubes put up her ass followed by a good ass fucking. Wanted to have sex in front of windows. I lived in a ground floor apartment. My partner is really into bondage, which isn't weird on its own, but wrapping me up in cling film from neck to toes certainly was. He said he'd piss in the gap between my teeth. I now have braces and never saw him again. Not that weird, but my ex was into working men. I'd get all ready with my tool belt and drills and she'd watch me. Her, you gonna use all those tools today? Me, completely oblivious to the obvious sexual undertones yet, I just told you my list of projects that need doing. Then my tool belt would come back off. Probably should have kept that one. Had an ex who loved to be called by her sister's name and degraded. I actually don't think it's that weird, but my BF has a serious lipstick fetish. He's super embarrassed about it and had a hard time telling me about it the first time, but I'm totally cool with it. He wants me to put on lipstick and plaster his face, chest, and arms with kiss marks. He thinks it makes him a weirdo, but I tell him that there are much weirder fetishes out there than lipstick and that his fetish is tame compared to others I've seen. Someone who tried to talk sexy to me during the act. Turns out, her idea of talking sexy was imitating Parseltongue from Harry Potter. What yells I have no life. Starting workplace drama. Having so much time backstabbing and gossiping about people who are not even doing anything wrong to you. Actively making fun of other people's hobbies or making them feel bad about things they like because you have no hobbies. If you're willing to make a big deal at a place of business with someone just trying to do their job. Making multiple accounts on any social media platform and having conversations with yourself. 50 million power on Rise of Kingdoms. Being way too invested in what other people are doing and judging them for it with no good reason. Easy answer. Pretending you do have one. It's actually hard work watching people unable to live in the moment. Homeowner association. Too caught up in other people's. Coming up to your job on your off day to socialize. I completed one piece in just 1 month. Being a Reddit mod and thinking it's a legitimate job. People who are overly confident and cocky online but are absolute wastes of space in person. For the record, I'm talking about the people that talk loads of shit over the internet, not the people who are just shy and have an inner bright personality. Looking through this thread and seeing if any answers apply to you.